What's up, guys? I'm Andrew, the high ticket guy, and I help coaches attract, nurture, and sell to high ticket clients. And today we're talking about high ticket objections and how they're completely different from low ticket objections. If you've ever been on a sales call where someone's like, hey, I've tried everything, why would this be different? Or I need to think about it, then you need to hear this. The truth is, high ticket clients don't just say yes because they have the money. They've been in programs before. They're looking for the right coach. And if you don't handle the belief patterns the right way, you're going to be losing sales that you should be closing. So let's break down exactly how to shift their beliefs and turn I don't know into where do I sign up. High ticket clients look, have, and deal with objections in a completely different way because they've already done some of the work required getting to the point of looking at your coaching. And I've said this in earlier episodes, being a high ticket person is a mindset. It's a state you have to embody, and I meant it. These people have to start working towards the path of hitting their goals. They didn't wait for someone to provide the first tools and tips. They went out and they found a place to start. They didn't let disappointment stop them after their first failure. They kept searching for solutions. These are the people who are hopping on masterclasses and they're checking out seminars so they can keep moving forward. And some of them even took a really high level of initiative and they hired their first coaches and mentors to teach them the basic tools because they were in that state of readiness. So even with all of this work and effort, a high ticket person is also patient with the process because they knew that it would take time for them to see results, so they took that time needed to learn. To be a high ticket client and to embody that mindset is to be a person who is self-led, highly driven, unattached to the goal, and have a readiness for change because that's what it takes to see results. So you're probably thinking to yourself, if these people are open to change, they were driven and they're self-led, that would probably lead to no objections to trying your program and working with you, right? No, it's actually the opposite. These types of people actually have the strongest objections because they have personal experiences through the process, and these objections are real. They've tried programs that did not deliver the results that promised. They've already spent thousands of dollars learning the tools that they were told would take them all the way to the end. And along the way, they failed a shit ton of times. And through that process of failure, they have seen what works for them and what hasn't. So they developed and ingrained inside of themselves a belief pattern. And there are tons of belief patterns that we need to be looking out for. Maybe they aren't sure that they can actually hit their goals. So their belief pattern is that it's not possible to actually get there. This is where a person may have the objection like, oh, I've tried everything and nothing has worked for me. So how do I know this will work? Maybe they think that in order to see the results that they want, that it has to be stupid hard. And their belief is that the process has to be difficult. So they keep saying, I'm not sure if right now makes sense, or I need to think about it. Because these people believe that it has to be difficult and they got to be ready for that difficulty. Maybe they think that investing more money doesn't equal more results, and that their belief of investing at a higher level is something that they actually need to be super logical about, that they have to see this step-by-step process inside of your program of how they're going to make the return back on their money and their investment. It doesn't really matter what objection is in front of you. I want you to know that they all come down to the same thing with the high ticket client. They want to know that it will work for them, period. If they don't feel that you get where they're at in their journey, that you don't understand how they feel in this moment, and that you don't understand how to get them to the result, their belief patterns are going to come up to protect them. When we are looking at objections to our coaching inside of sales, we are looking at the person's beliefs. It means that the person in front of us has a belief that we haven't confirmed, haven't acknowledged, or haven't broken down. And I call this the C.A.B at home method. You have to confirm, acknowledge, and break down their old belief before asking them to join your program, or they're going to go home by themselves without you in your coaching. As an example, think about the time of being in the dating scene where you were trying to understand if the person was into you. So it's a brand new person, first date ever. You're not just going to sit down, say yes, agree to everything, and then at the end, you're like, hey, you want to go home with me tonight? That is going to equal 100% no, get the hell out of here, because they're going to feel a disconnect with you. because that person came to the date with just one objective, and that was to sell them into going home. That's not how you do sales. If you were genuinely interested in building a relationship with someone, just like you were with your client, you would have to confirm that the person was into you first. So you would ask them questions to see, hey, is there interest here? And then you'd have to acknowledge if they had the same values or beliefs as you. During that convo, if something came up that you didn't agree with, or that was going to be a deal breaker for you in this relationship, you probably wouldn't skip it over. You would dig into that belief and you would try to break it down. And if you did that successfully, the conversation would feel right. And the person would feel connected to you, and that's what would want them to take the date further. Now, in this case, we're not going home with our clients, but this is where you would tell them about your program, and then you would ask them to work with you. So C.A.B at home works identical to clients. First, we've got to confirm what belief is actually holding them back. And this is where inside of the consult, you need to really listen to the words that they're using to describe their struggle. Pay attention to what they're actually saying, because their beliefs are always in their language. So maybe they say something like, I've tried everything and nothing works for me. Well, that tells you that their belief is that success isn't possible for them. Maybe they say, I always lose motivation after a few weeks. Well, this is telling you that they are saying to themselves they aren't disciplined enough to make it work. Maybe they say, I need to figure things out on my own first. This means that they believe that they have to be fully ready before they invest. Maybe it's, I just need more time to think about it. Well, that's a sign that they don't trust themselves to make a decision. Maybe they say, I don't know what to do. Or I know what to do, but I just need to do it. Well, they're convinced that they don't need coaching, they just need more willpower. Maybe they're thinking, I don't want to waste money on something that might not work. Well, that tells you that they're afraid that they won't actually get results. Maybe they say, I have a hard time sticking to things. Well, that's a belief that they're going to fail again, just like they did before with another coach. Maybe they say, I don't think now's the right time. Okay, well, that's them waiting for the perfect time that doesn't exist. How about, I'm just not the kind of person who can do this? Well, this means deep down, they believe success is for other people, but not for them. You see what I mean? People aren't just throwing out objections. They're giving you insight into their belief system. And if you don't confirm what's actually holding them back before you invite them into your program, that belief will pop up at the end and stop them from moving forward. Once we see that belief, this is where we acknowledge them. This is where we can validate their struggle. Be a human being and tell them what they're doing right. The way that I like to validate people on consult calls is to use a client example of someone who has the same struggles and share what they were doing right, and then share how they got stuck in the same place as them. Because when people see that they can resonate with clients you've worked with in the past, they're like, this person has worked with people like me, they get me. Finally, if there's a belief that you see that's keeping someone stuck, and it doesn't jive with you, break it down. Don't be the coach who hears something you disagree with and then doesn't challenge the clients for fear of losing the sale. This belief that you step over, guaranteed, will be the thing that comes up at the end and makes that person leave. So you have to be the one to lean in first. The moment someone says something like, oh, I'm sure you've never seen someone as bad as me, or it's always been tough for me to see results, or I'm the person who's trying to learn as much as I can before I decide, this is where you stop them. I like to put my hand up and I just gently say, hey, hang on a moment, or I just have to stop you for a second. And then I lean in with two questions. The first being, what makes you think that? I love asking this question. What makes you think that? This question is important because it allows you to see where their belief came from. Maybe a client is going to say, well, I've done 3 or 4 programs in the past and it hasn't worked, so that's why I'm saying this. And it's those answers that will allow you to then create a new belief for them. Once you have those answers, this is where you lean into question 2. Do you think that belief is why you haven't seen results yet? When you ask this, they're going to immediately ask, what do you mean? And this is where you can show them why the belief is holding them back. It's actually permission that allows you to share that what they are thinking is not the correct way of thinking. This is where you share the truth of what is possible so that way they can change that belief. When you change the belief, when you give them a different perspective to look at through this process, this is where at the end, when you ask for the sale, when you say, hey, join my program, they're not going to have that objection because now you have provided with them a new perspective and they feel comfortable. Now, if you're a coach who wants to consistently attract high ticket clients without feeling like you have to convince or chase people, this is exactly what I teach inside of my Coach to Coach program. Coach to Coach is designed to help you attract those premium clients by creating messaging that speaks at a really high level, and it helps people get ready to buy. Also, it helps you master the high ticket sales process so you're signing clients daily with confidence. If you're ready to stop wasting time on unqualified leads and start working with clients who are excited to pay you, book a free discovery call with me at growmycoaching.com. We will go through your business, see if it's a fit, of course, and then map out exactly how to get you signing high ticket clients consistently. So hit the link in the description and I'll see you inside. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching.